So this episode might be the most interesting episode of Shield Hero yet this season. This episode introduced so many different elements and so many different things all at once. It's kind of like brain overload. Now, the thing that I will say up front from the beginning of this review is I absolutely enjoyed this episode. I love the addition of 𝐒𝐻𝐿, another character into the mix to go along with 𝐜𝐴RC, Therese, and Glass. I love the fact that they introduced another cardinal hero, and we got to deep dive into a lot more information to a lot of questions that I honestly had that weren't necessarily answered, but they definitely did kind of go deeper into maybe some of the, how do you say it? Maybe some of like the pre-things that I had in mind that were going to happen. Some of the predictions that I had in mind that could be real or could be false and all those things. I think that this episode did really well to serve all of us for those exact things. So really, I'll put this in a nutshell. So really is based on Naofumi, Risha, Raphtalia, and Philo jumping into this alternate dimension, into this alternate world. They finally got the shield to allow them to travel across worlds, much like 𝐜𝐴RC, Therese, and Glass have been doing to their world back and forth. They find themselves in an infinite labyrinth, which is basically like this otherworld prison. And in this otherworld prison, they meet a girl who happens to be one of the four cardinal heroes of that world, named 𝐒𝐻𝐿. So they find out that she's been trapped there for years, which introduces another question. So she's been trapped there for years because I think it was said that she got caught invading another country, or something to do with she got caught by another country or got caught invading another country. But regardless, she was caught up by another country and banished to this alternate dimension inside of this world. And immediately, that's kind of where the questions start. Now, again, as like the recap goes, you know, they're able to use her knowledge of all the time that she has spent in this zone, and she has found that there is a specific area in there that is like third wall or fourth wall breaking. That she found a bug in the system, a crack in the system, a kink in the system in this prison that she's been held in. And she's able to fast track all the years that she spent and basically show this to Naofumi. Thankfully, he comes up with the idea of building that really creepy tree thing that one of the other heroes had let out via the little seedling that he has, and he puts it in the crack in the system because it just infinitely grows. It breaks the barrier. They're able to jump into it, and the episode ends with them landing finally in the other world that 𝐒𝐻𝐿 was summoned to. So they're finally in the same world as Glass and everybody else. So here's where all the questions start. Question number one comes, okay, Raphtalia and Risha. Also, this episode just made me love Risha even more. Risha is a nerdy and a spaz and quirky and kind of a she's not like, she doesn't have hero traits. She's kind of a wuss a little bit. I freaking love Risha so much. I think she is one of the cutest characters that they have introduced in Shield Hero thus yet, and I freaking love her, and this episode solidified that even more. So the first question is, okay, they got beamed into this prison. Why? Just for plot reasons? Just so they could meet 𝐒𝐻𝐿 and bust her out? Okay. Risha and Raphtalia were not summoned. I don't want to say summoned, but they traveled dimension with Naofumi. The one missing is Philo. Okay, so where did Philo go? We're gonna assume that she landed in the not alternate dimension, but we're gonna assume that she landed in the world proper. Maybe she's with Glass, Therese, and 𝐜𝐴RC. Maybe she landed with 𝐒𝐻𝐿. Maybe she landed just herself somewhere, and she's trying to find Naofumi and them. Other question is, time obviously flows different in this prison. Reason being is this girl, 𝐒𝐻𝐿, says she's 18. She also told us that she has spent years. Now, we don't know how many years, but we're going to assume somewhere between 1 and 4 years. Probably not more than that, but she spent probably between 1 and 4 years in this alternate prison dimension, this infinite labyrinth. If that's true, she was 18. She's no longer 18 anymore. She's probably like 20 or 21 or 22, unless she was summoned when she was 15 or 16, which could be the case because the bow hero, 𝐒𝐮𝐲𝐫𝐭, he was summoned, I think he was 16 or 17. So there's a chance that she could have been younger and she's 18 now. There's a chance that she could have been 18 when she was in prison, and she could be somewhere along the lines between 19 and 20, 22 or 23, depending again on how many years she spent there, because like she said, she stopped counting. Other thing is 𝐼𝐼𝐼 and 𝐒𝐮𝐲𝐫𝐭 and the other heroes, they were summoned, I think about a year's time, maybe give or take. But let's say about a year has passed since they were summoned as the heroes, right? So if what 𝐒𝐮𝐲𝐽 is saying is years have passed in this prison, well, then that means 𝐼𝐼𝐼 and Glass, along with her, were summoned 1 to 4 years ago, right? And definitely more than 1 at this point. But they were summoned years ago. So they have been heroes for years. So have they spent years fighting the waves? That leads us to the other question. She was ignorant of the waves. Why is that? Is that a new threat? Is that something that's different? 𝐼𝐼𝐼 and Glass are very well informed of all of the wave stuff. Why is she ignorant of it? If she was summoned to this world, there shouldn't be any feigning of ignorance, and she was being truthful. What the F is going on with that, okay? So we definitely have all that information. The other piece of it is I assumed 𝐒𝐻, the villain of last 6 episodes with the tortoise, I assumed he was one of the 4 cardinal heroes. Because I think he was like the book hero or some bullshit. If that's not true, who is he? Or is there more than 4 cardinal heroes? Or is 𝐼𝐼𝐼 or Glass, is one of them not a true cardinal hero? I mean, a lot of questions, right? The main thing that I was like, what the F, is the time passage. And my one guess is time flowed differently in this infinite labyrinth prison, which would make sense. Okay, we've talked about that. The next thing this episode introduced, and I'm telling you, this episode just introduced an infinite, no pun intended, an infinite amount of questions. The other thing, when 𝐼𝐼𝐼 lands here, him, Raphtalia, and Risha are level 1. Okay, we know 𝐼𝐼𝐼 and Glass are stupidly powerful. We know since their original meeting that they've gotten stupidly powerful. They've gotten even more powerful than when we met them originally during the island arc, when they were leveling up. Okay, we know that. 2 things. A, there's something there between when they travel worlds that their levels don't reset. They were able to come over strong already. Flip side to that, when they traveled to 𝐼𝐼𝐼's world, they also got reset. They also got back to level 1. They spent a lot of time leveling themselves up, which could explain why they spend time on the island with 𝐼𝐼𝐼 leveling themselves up. Okay? Alternate question to that, what about Glass? Glass invaded from the other world to here. She wasn't traveling with Lark and Therese. How does she get so strong? So see, this introduced so many questions on this. The reset of 𝐼𝐼𝐼's level up introduces so many questions that I hope the anime answers this season, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to know. All right, I'm pretty deep on time here. So there's all of that stuff. Last things I'll say is I love that it introduced a brand new world, brand new characters, brand new stakes. They're on a timer, though. There's only like 7 days left until the next wave, I think it is, or something like that. So they're on a timer. They can only spend so much time here. So they need to find Philo. A couple of days have already passed, it seems. They need to find Philo. 𝐒𝐮𝐲 is already over the moon appreciative towards 𝐼𝐼𝐼 and Risha and Raphtalia, right? She's over the moon. She doesn't seem like somebody who will betray somebody like who just helped her in this capacity. What is that going to mean for when they find Lark and Therese in them? she's best friends, like she said, with Glass. So obviously she's probably gonna pick best friend before Naofumi. But will she? I don't know. Again, I think this episode was the most interesting episode of the season. A lot of questions were introduced, a lot of stakes, a lot of risk, a lot of questions. Just, I could probably talk about this for another 10 minutes. I won't. I'm going to end there. I'm going to say this episode was fantastic, and it was mind-boggling, confusing all at the same time. Let me know what you thought about this episode down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the introduction of Kizuna. Let me know if you think Kizuna's best girl already. Whatever you guys want, let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to talk to you guys down there, and I'll see you guys next week on next Wednesday for Shield Hero. All right, peace out, guys.